As a follow-up question for Konstantin, basically, as someone who works with institutional clients interested in crypto trading, I mean, what are your thoughts on how the demand for digital assets trading from institution has evolved over the past year, considering FTX and everything else?
Yeah, we've seen some bumps on the road, and thanks to Max for kind of setting the stage in the background about what is Bitcoin in general. And I wanted maybe to elaborate on what are the main use cases of not just the Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency. And when we debated it with some of our clients, we basically put it into three main buckets. It's like the store of value that was initially in the concept as like it's a limited supply, which is quite clear. It's proven with your ownership, not by some third party, but actually by the technology itself. So that's a very powerful use case, especially with all of the inflation. I think it was one of the most hot topics throughout the last couple of years when we saw the record inflation both in the US and Europe. So a lot of people and even the pension funds started to look into the Bitcoin as the store of value that has a limited supply. So that's bucket number one. The second bucket, it's probably more on the like active trading, gambling side of things, if you will. So there's a lot of retail clients just trying to get rich quick, which will never disappear. I mean, it is there. We need to admit that. And there's a third bucket, which I'm actually honored to talk about at this panel because this is most relevant to all of us. It's the money remittance use case. And I personally like this last bit the most because it is the clear real world use case of the crypto adoption when you can clearly see how implementing like crypto to fiat payments within your business and within your organization makes it extremely more efficient, cheaper, and you can clearly benefit from that. And I see that the world is actually going through like all of those three buckets directions, trying to implement all of that. But we'll see more and more adoption in the payment space, especially in the unbanked countries. I mean, like Europe is pretty much, I would say, like positioned way better across lots of the different countries. But when we look into LATAM, APAC, and Africa, that's really when people are suffering from the inflation, from some money in capital controls, and crypto does make a difference there.
So the question, going back to the point of education that Ugnė brought up, is, what are the current public perceptions of digital assets in Cyprus and globally, and what efforts are being made to educate and build trust among the general populace? So I think let's leave on a positive note, hopefully. So Konstantin.
Yeah, well, I'm an advocate basically because we provide infrastructure for regulated institutions globally. Like we serve clients from 40 different countries, and we monitor how the perception changes over years. And it's like I'm totally with with you on that. It's been a tough journey, but we see that the perception does change, especially in the US right now. Like we see Trump doing his pitches and like he just called himself a crypto president like yesterday or 2 days ago. So that like well, I mean you it might sound like funny, but it still helps the mass adoption. I mean, and maybe Trime is not the best example of an institutional adoption, but anyway, but anyways. I mean, it still does help educate the masses and actually the regulators. And even if we take the US alone, we have like more than 50 million US citizens actually that keep and hold crypto. And I remember I was at the panel 3 years ago in New York City, and it was one of the pension funds that were mentioning that they're just starting to invest in crypto. Like luckily for them, they only started to invest not on the secondary market, but in the private equity, and FTX was one of their investments. So then like the portfolio manager was saying that regardless if Bitcoin is going to 0 or to 1 million, we'll still be doing that because we're doing it for long term. Like there will be some winners, there will be some losers. We don't care. We invest the pension money and we only allocate a small portion. And by the way, like they run, I think probably over 10 billion. So even a small portion of 10 billion is a good amount of money. And now this year they get back into the industry, and now they're ready to invest in ETFs, they're ready to invest in the spot instruments. So we see how with institutional adoption, once again, thanks to the ETFs, there's more and more coming, and it's still a very tiny portion, both in payments and in the investment industry. So I see, I'll probably think in the next couple of years, when the sales force of all of those regulated financial institutions, including BlackRock and Vanguard, well, hopefully Vanguard will change its stance on crypto, when all of their sales force will educate itself, we'll see a complete shift in perception and the adoption of crypto, and hopefully in Europe we'll also see the same.